Every house has a story. Here in Los Angeles, we are the capital of dreamers and storytellers. And so I'm delighted to be here at 3851 Kingswood in Sherman Oaks with acclaimed Emmy Award-winning producer Tom Beers in a house that Tom dreamt, conceived, and custom built. Tom, thank you so much for having us here.
That's great. That's always a pleasure, man.
Want to take you on an amazing journey of Tom's dream house. Check it out. Tom, this house is fucking amazing. Tell me, like, what was your inspiration?
Gosh, first of all, the property itself is amazing to be.
Totally wooded.
Yeah, it's wooded. It has a stream that runs year-round in the front of the house, and that was really important to me. I like water features, and so I love this property so much that about 7 years ago, I tore down my old house and rebuilt it. So I've actually been on this property for almost 24 years.
So you really got to kind of know and feel the light patterns and what tree you loved and what tree.
Well, they're beautiful old oak trees, all over the property. It's totally enclosed. It's in a beautiful canyon. You can rarely ever hear any noise. It's a dead-end cul-de-sac. I mean, all those features, those elements, it makes for a beautiful kind of, almost a little oasis right in the middle of Sherman Oaks.
So, because there's a lot of windows, so there's a lot of this indoor-outdoor organic feel, which capitalizes on being able to see. So whatever the square footage of the house is, almost to me is irrelevant, because you have this expansive, almost, I don't know, over 1 acre parcel, and you basically are participating in all of it.
Yeah, and it's amazing. In California, I grew up in New York, and I worked at Turner Broadcasting in Atlanta for many years, and the idea of keeping your doors open and letting the air in, it's the most amazing thing. It's like indoor, outdoor living. You open your doors, and behind me here by the pool that you can't see, but I often see, I've got great video of deer just walking right by my pool.
Well, I think in the description of the house, I've said, not a day goes by where you don't see a deer. And again, that's what's so fascinating about, we're walking distance to Ventura Blvd, and you're driving distance to all the arteries where we want to get places, and yet literally you are in a canyon where there is running stream and there's koi.
There's plenty of koi. Yeah, as I said, I do a lot of my TV shows, Deadliest Catch and Bering Sea Gold, and I did Swords, Life on a Line, and Lobster Wars. So I spent a lot of time around water. And water's really, really kind of key to my existence. And when you go around the property, you'll see plenty of waterfalls, and as I said, streams, and because and koi pond. I have a koi pond that goes directly through the floor of the house.
It's a little funky the first time you walk on that.
Yeah, it's big, thick glass. But anyway, in show business, it's chaos. Everything is just so intense and and just in your face. And I wanted to find a place that I could just go and retreat to. And to me, it's a very zen place, and I designed it that way. The color palettes are zen, are comfortable. I love all the the exterior rough beams, the wood, so it's very, very peaceful to me, and I think that's really important. I built a little Zen hut down over the stream, down by the stream, that's just incredibly peaceful with waterfalls in front of it. So there are many places in the house that you can go and disappear and just be quiet and just relax. I mean, that was really kind of an important element to building the house.
So I'm going to put you on the spot. What's your favorite room or spot in the house?
I love sitting in the little nook to my right. It's a great place.
That's an amazing. Was that couch custom built?
Yeah, it's all custom built. So yeah, I built that so I could just kind of sit in that nook in the mornings. I got to be honest. I mean, when you have the budget that's unlimited, you can, the world's unlimited for you. So it's kind of like, hey, I want a koi pond in my screening room, and they're like, yeah, but it's going to cost. I'm like, yeah, I don't care. It's like I want this, I want that. I mean, the woodwork, all the elements that you don't really look at first in this house are, extraordinary. There are no baseboards, for instance. You'll look at it; it's all custom crafted. I mean, every bit of the hand rubbed plaster. Venetian plaster on the walls, all the hand-built, custom-built cabinetry, all that stuff is just, it's above and beyond what you would normally get in a house.
Right, right.
And all the craftsmen that I brought in, the artists that I brought in.
And were these people that, in your vast production career, that you work with, or were these just people that, because you've traveled the world and produced around the world, you've gotten to meet artists from around the world?
Well, both.
Right.
If you look at, for instance, all the rough beams, the large beams throughout the entire house, those are all sinker cypress. Those are cypress trees that had basically sunk to the bottom of a Louisiana swamp.
Love it.
And they'd been there for over 100 years. So the wood itself takes on a different quality. It's not petrified wood, but at the same time, a lot of the original kind of the sap had pulled out of the tree, and the trees had started to mineralize a little bit. So they have a different sheen and a different finish. And they're incredible woods. So all the beams, and that's from my show, Swamp Man with Shelby Stanga. So when I was down in Louisiana watching him do this, I said, God, I love this wood. So I had him ship me up about maybe 1 million board feet.
Wow.
Of sinker cypress, and that was for my show. All the metal work that you see around the house is done by a guy named Danny Statler, who was from my series Monster Garage.
Right.
And Dan did all these incredible sculptures for me, and he's an amazing metal worker. So I brought in these craftsmen from my shows. All the brackets also and all the beams were built by him. Sculptor named Tanya Rygar, who did, if you look out in the fountain, there's a series of napkins, cloth napkins that are bronzes that look like it's being blown away as the series goes on. And it's being held on each end by my son, Max's hands, and we cast his hands. So I got this great video.
How old
of
was
that.
he like when he
was about 17, 16. And so we've got these great casts of my son's hands holding these napkins as they fly away in the back. If you look at the front entrance, the slump glass, it's flat stained glass. Dorothy Lenehan, who's a very famous glass sculptor up in Oakland. I came across her work. I love stained glass. And so I came across her work and asked her to commission her to make the door panels in the front. And that took her almost a year to make those panels. And they're beautiful kind of bamboo glass. So it brought in the outdoors again to the indoors. So you'll see a lot of these elements as you go through the house. It's kind of, it's just filled with inspiration and aspiration.
So again, at the end of the day, right, we've got what is interesting to me as a realtor, you've got the separate gym, you've got the guest house, you've got the office, right? So you've got a lot of these check boxes,
Yeah, I have a guest wing.
Yeah.
I built that for my parents
It's perfect
to come
for
out
that.
to visit. So
Yeah.
they have their own kitchen,
Yeah.
Their own entrance.
Yep.
So and it's great for when you have the house that you can have guests come and stay, and they're not in your living space at all.
Completely enclosed and self-sufficient.
Right, and they can come and go as they please and go out the front gate, and if you never want to see them, you don't have to see them. But, it's also just really nice, for visitors, as well as the guest house in the back. That could be used as another office or a production office.
Yep.
Or I built it originally as an artist gallery, you could be if you're a painter.
To me, and like from the moment you drive up, the curb appeal, walking through the gardens and all, like you said, the wooded foliage, mature foliage, the most technical term I can think of is vibe, right? I mean, it is a vibe unlike almost any other. Again, and we're blessed to be in an amazing city with lots of vibe.
It's really nice to hear when somebody walks into my house and they go, wow, this is the coolest house I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah.
So
you have a lot of amazing craftsmen that you've worked with on your productions all around the world, or other artists that you've admired, and you've told us about a few of them, and there's a couple other, I think, interesting things that I've seen. Can you tell me about those?
Yeah. The big steel gates down at the creek, an artist named Carl Johnson built those, and he there's a little bit of joy throughout the whole house. You'll have to, it's like almost like a treasure hunt. But I built this mosaic creature. It's got kind of like an octopus with these orange mosaic tile arms, and you see them. They show up in the back of the house. They show up in the koi pond. They show up down by the creek.
Fun.
It's as if the tentacles are throughout the whole house. You'll see it, and you have to kind of explore to find them.
Well, it's an extraordinary pleasure to be here and to hear kind of your inspiration about the house. So again, the story, as you heard, is one of unbridled creativity, and invite you to come check it out and hope you enjoy.